brand protection and value addition. We have a thought leader. He is the director of Holoflex Limited, a Kolkata-based company, which he co-founded in 1991. The chairman of International Hologram Manufacturers Association. He has participated as a speaker and session chair at several national and international conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking to you about Mr. Manoj Kochar. Can I have his picture, please? Yeah, it's there. Mr. Manoj, welcome, sir. Music, please. Manoj bhai, welcome. Thank you so much. I'm so proud to host you here today. For a long time we are waiting, sir. Please, please. And to take this session forward, we have Mr. Ranesh Bajaj. Mr. Ranesh, I have already met you earlier, so welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Please begin the session. Yeah, please. Thank you so much.
It's working. Morning, everybody. So, Anil said this is a fireside chat. So, Anil, we don't see a fire behind. There should normally be a fire video, no, playing behind. Manojji, welcome. Pleasure to always talk to you about anti-counterfeiting and, as a thought leader, as a market leader, as an industry veteran, you've already brought a lot of, knowledge, information, industry growth. Yeah. I wanted to start with the first question. What do you think is the landscape around anti-counterfeiting? What's happening around, some generic numbers or what's the size of the market?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. And thank you very much, Plector Summit, for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be here and to be amongst the industry veterans and exchange thoughts. See, as far as counterfeiting goes, I was surprised when I got to know about this small snippet. We've all heard of this very famous author called William Dalrymple, right?
Right.
And he written this book called The Golden Globe.
The Golden Globe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And in that book, he's actually written that there was counterfeiting going on in certain parts of India, particularly Kerala and Tamil Nadu, around 200 to 300 BC, okay? And at that point in time, they were producing fake, Roman intaglios and brass lamps and passing it on as a Roman product.
So before currency was made, fake currency came into existence. That's interesting.
Yes. So they were actually doing it in those days also. So I found it pretty fascinating as somebody who's been so involved with brand protection and authentication. It was a pretty interesting bit of information for me. Now, cut to the current times, okay? Counterfeiting is all pervasive, really. We know that it exists in just about every segment, every industry, anything that is of value can potentially be made a look-alike of is getting counterfeited. I have also been very closely involved with this association called ASPA.
Yeah, correct.
So ASPA is Authentication Solution Providers Association. And
quite active in the industry, and I know I would invite all the converters who are in the business, do look out for ASPA and join us. It's always interesting to have similar thought leaders in the whole process.
Absolutely, and Ranesh is a very close associate there. He's a member who is very, very proactive in ASPA affairs. Anyways, to come back to ASPA, and CRISIL did a study way back in 2022, which is currently being refreshed. And in that study, it was found that 42% of the consumers willingly bought a counterfeit product. Now, this is a very shocking piece of...
42% of the consumers willingly bought. So willingly bought a fake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did they do that? Because 36% found the original to be too expensive. So, for instance, there was an LV bag that a lady wants, but then obviously we all know how expensive it is, and generally beyond the reach of a common Indian. So they would willingly buy that product. Yet another 26%, they bought a fake product because the original was just not available.
As a short supply?
A short supply. Yeah, so maybe the supply chain is not catering to that particular geography where the consumer is located.
Right.
So these are, I think, two big pointers to what is happening in the counterfeit space today. And brands probably need to take a good look at this and then figure out their strategy accordingly.
Great. Interesting. So, but having said that, what do you think are the main drivers towards, this counterfeiting? Of course, there is all this, need or aspirational needs and, trying to grow brands and brands being unavailable. But otherwise, do you think there are any other key drivers which are also looking at this?
Yes, I think, these are the days of globalization. Products are available just about all across the globe, depending on the brand's reach and their ambitions. So I think that is a big reason, because packaging can be simulated these days generally to, pretty much look alike the original product, if it doesn't have any authentication feature, that is.
Right.
So I think that the globalization is definitely a big factor.
Sure.
And then, like I mentioned here, the supply chain.
Yeah.
So supply chain, if it is not tight or if it is not reaching out to the consumer, that also leads to the counterfeit.
Like e-commerce, you're also
Yeah,
buying from,
e-commerce, absolutely.
you're buying from a faceless vendor. It's not your corner store. It's not a store down the street. Okay, I bought this shirt from Shoppers Stop and I can go and return it.
Yes.
So here is a vendor sitting in some nook and corner of the world, maybe in China or whatever, and he pushes out to you, and
Absolutely.
returns are difficult. So while e-commerce, we have these pros, but that is a big con as well, right?
Yes.
E-commerce is pushing.
But the good thing is that, companies like Amazon,
Right.
those platforms are now taking a lot of steps to make sure that fake products do not find a way through their platform.
True.
And they're pretty active here. So I'm sure, I'm aware of Amazon, but I'm sure Flipkarts and the other e-commerce platforms of the world
Yeah.
are also taking similar steps. So
Understood.
that, I think, is a pretty interesting.
No, sure. So everybody, so the ecosystem has to become more responsible to be able to handle or, to
Absolutely.
fight back counterfeiting.
Absolutely.
Great, great, great. And so what are, from each stakeholder's point, like brands and challenges, what would you like to talk about those products, or, what do you think are the key issues there from the brands point? Like, let's start with the brands, for example.
Okay, now, in my long experience, I've been in this space for almost 35 years now. The brands, very few of them do actually want to acknowledge that there is a problem. At least publicly, they will not. They feel that if they acknowledge that there's a problem of counterfeit in their products, they will lose market share. There are a lot of brands sitting here. Some of them may find to talk to me about it. They might feel, and I'm happy to get into a conversation. But that is what my kind of belief or experience is, that brands need to talk openly about it. Yeah, unless they acknowledge that there is a problem and take proactive steps, they will probably not be able to deal with it as effectively as they deal with their other challenges in marketing or production or branding or whatever. So I think that is one big challenge that brands need to accept. They need to talk about it. They need to create an awareness amongst their consumers that, look, my original or authentic products has this feature. And they should encourage the consumers to actually verify that feature before they go on to make their purchase. So brands, yes, these two challenges I think are pretty big.
Right.
And then there are other people, other stakeholders also in the chain.
Right.
So, for instance, let's talk about converters.
Yeah.
Before converters, let me talk about consumers. Now, consumers like I said, they need to be made aware. So brands need to be proactive. But then I feel it's not only the brand's job, though primarily it is theirs. But I think there's a strong case for government to talk and create an awareness amongst the consumers in general that, look, there may be a problem with the product that you buy. So
True.
years ago, we had this wonderful promotion that the government ran, or the campaign that government called Jago Grahak Jago, where
Indian
the government, I think all of us probably are familiar with that campaign, and it was, I think, a very effectively run campaign where the Consumer Affairs Ministry was trying to sensitize the consumers about their rights to get a good deal from the retailer. So in those days, of course, that was the positioning.
So like you were saying, Manojji, so 42% knowingly did buy a fake.
Yeah.
But remember, there's the larger 58% who unknowingly bought a fake.
And is their right.
And it's their right. It's a fundamental right to say, look, if I paid for a genuine product, I hope to receive a genuine product.
Totally.
The other thing I wanted to add is, brands or the police can only be selective inspectors. They can do 1 in 100. The consumer can be 100 on 100. So if we can make the consumer aware and say, okay, every consumer can be your inspector to make sure this is genuine, all we need to do is to create an ecosystem
Around.
and also a reporting system. Like you say, the government should create a reporting system where a consumer can easily go and report that, look, I was conned and I bought a fake while I paid for a genuine product.
And the regulators must be able to strictly enforce
Sure.
the laws that are there. I was talking to a retired Inspector General Police, right? And he's telling me there are more than 100 laws that are already in place to tackle with counterfeit.
Oh, wow.
The problem is enforcement thereof.
Right.
Right?
So the enforcement authorities, the police don't take it seriously. If you go and complain कि मुझे ये नकली घड़ी मिल गई या bag मिल गया, for them it's not a large enough crime.
They have more serious problems to attend
Yeah, there
to.
are the murders and the rapes to chase after,
yes,
right?
absolutely. hence probably the case to have a force like the economic offences wing we all know that we have.
Yeah.
But I think it would be nice to have a particular enforcement agency which is only looking at crimes such as counterfeiting, because it's a counterfeit is causing the government a lot of money. It's causing the brand a lot of money. The counterfeit doesn't pay taxes. There's no GST, no excise, no income tax, right? So all those products that are running in the parallel economy, they're causing a loss to the government. The consumer is cheated because he's not getting what he's really paid for.
Yeah.
Okay, and the brand is losing revenue.
Correct.
So there is no winner here. Only one, the counterfeiter.
Yeah.
And there is enough muscle in the legal framework of the country to nab them.
Yeah.
If there is,
there is political
the
will
willingness or political will.
and the consumer awareness.
Absolutely.
Those are key.
Always. You see, another interesting thing, there's a company called Mankind Pharma who we've all heard of, right? Now, Mankind Pharma is pretty open in accepting that, look, there are counterfeit medicines in the market, and they run LinkedIn campaigns and even otherwise.
Yeah.
And recently, they launched a video again in collaboration with ASPA, where they advised the consumers to do some basic fact checks.
Right.
Like when we all go and buy medicine
Yeah.
from a chemist, you ask for medicine, chemist gives it to you, you pay the money and you walk out. Simple as that. Most of us do that. I certainly used to do that till very recently. But they advise that when you buy a medicine, check the batch number that is printed on the strip with what the
Box number
the batch number.
Right.
Each medicine strip has a batch number.
has a unique batch number.
It has a unique
Correct.
batch number.
Yeah.
So that must be checked with the cash memo that the retailer is giving you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So to match the two, to make
match
sure
the two.
he's not selling you a fake, then still keeping a different record.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah,
basic thing, because the moment the retailer also sees that his consumer is vigilant enough and is looking at these things, checking and making sure that what he's getting is right, a lot of the evil will be weeded out of the system. But of course, it will not happen overnight. I think the biggest, shall I say, factor that can curb counterfeiting is consumer awareness.
Correct.
So I think there's a very strong case to
And in
arouse
case of
that.
medicines, remember there is a huge health risk. So it's, what you're putting in your mouth is,
Absolutely.
you have to make sure it's a genuine medicine and it's not.
Alchem is another company that recently ran campaigns in newspapers saying that
Good.
this is our genuine medicine and these are the features we need to be looking at.
Good.
So we need more proactive measures from brands to educate the consumer, which I think will be a big piece in the ability to fight counterfeit.
Very true. Very important. Good. You also were talking about return on investment. So the brands sometimes, do they feel that, investing in additional security features, do they have an ROI, don't have an ROI? What's your take on that?
Okay. See, no brand likes to talk about the counterfeit in their product.
In their open market.
And equally, they don't want to talk about the benefits that this is led. But in my last 30 odd years of being in the business, seldom has a brand stopped using a brand protection feature. If they have it on, they use it all the time.
So that's key. While they may not openly admit it, tacitly they are aware that this is bringing us some benefit.
Yes.
They may or may not want to quantify it,
Yes.
but it has to stay.
Because the another thing is that authentication feature does is that it allows the brand to always conclusively identify that this is my genuine product. Because we've all heard of cases where the lookalikes and the counterfeits are so close,
Right.
even the brand team at times has a challenge identifying which is the real one.
Sure.
And as far as the expense goes, yes, there is a resistance. There would be, and I completely understand that. Nobody wants to increase costs. But this should be looked upon as a brand building expense, really, more than a revenue expense, because this has long-term benefits for sure.
So for
That is not
converters, interestingly, the budget may not just come out of converting, could come out of marketing as well.
Yes.
So if you as a converter go and pitch to a brand that, look, you are paying $1 for your packaging, pay 1.05, and the incremental 5 does not need to come out of just your this thing, but could come out of your marketing budget as well.
And because you see, an authentication feature invariably leads to increase in the
Sales.
brand sales and revenue. So, these features kind of pay for themselves in a medium term for sure.
So they spend billions of dollars on marketing or crores of rupees in marketing. So spending a few crores on authentication will add sales, which is a direct benefit.
So they recover that money. So I think there's a very strong case for my converting friends here, all the converters here. We all know that by and large, this is getting to be a very, very competitive business as the market grows, as the number of players go. So you're all looking for your own USPs, I would strongly like to urge you to look at the authentication solutions as one good way to value add, which is actually also the theme of our discussion today.
Yeah.
So there are several technologies available which you could possibly think of, but it immediately gives you an edge if you can offer an authentication system or a brand protection system, which yet a lot of other people are not able to do. HoloFlex started as a brand protection solution provider and then got into labeling, okay? Because we could sense that label is the vehicle through which a lot of brand protection can be pushed. So that was our journey. But there are a lot of other label printers here. Some of India's leading printers are here. If they can add authentication features to their arsenal, I think it'll make a difference to their business in general.
And I also feel the value add is great, like you said, incremental. Me and Harishji were talking. Normally if you add X percentage of margin, I'm sure a feature will help you increase that margin, help your bottom line, and also bring you closer to the customer or closer to the brand.
Absolutely.
To be able to offer a more holistic solution.
Correct.
Just not a simple piece of packaging, but something which is smarter, more intelligent, more pilfer-proof or more tamper-proof.
So that bit of extra value add becomes your USP.
Correct.
And then the brand stays longer with you.
Correct.
Okay.
So brand has more resistance to move to the lowest service
Correct.
provider
It's not
because
only that.
it's that.
So I think that's
Very interesting
one
point.
suggestion I would like
Correct.
to make. Yeah.
Quickly on the technology part, because a lot of converters is in the audience as well. So we were talking, what are the various steps do you think, or various types of this thing? So
See, there are several
Yeah.
printing technologies, as we all know, and I think we had a great session yesterday when we looked at all the options.
Yeah.
But purely from an authentication solutions point of view, we believe that the more different the technologies are in production of an authentication solution, like if you mix a bit of a flexo, give a bit of foiling, give a bit of hologram, use some security designing, use some security inks.
Yeah.
There are play with the substrates.
Correct.
Like you have void substrates, you have frangible, UDD.
Sure, we did link some. There are some substrates that you can use. There is of course printing techniques. You can have different holograms or holographic substrates.
Yeah.
You could have
holograms
inks.
are a very, very versatile technology. You can use them as labels, you can use them as hot stamping, you can use them as a decorative element.
Yeah.
You can use hologram just about anywhere. So over the last 35 years, you really see a lot of holograms in the various products that you see. And this is for a reason. Holograms work, okay? Most of the major currencies of the world, the banknotes, they carry a hologram.
They still do after 40 years
They still do.
whatever we say it's become a commodity or it's commoditized, they still continue to use it.
Correct. So there are all types of holograms that you can buy. You can buy the commodity kind, which if one is looking at buying the
simple color
cheapest,
shift, yeah.
there is with some basic message. Of course, you can get that.
Yeah.
But if you want to go higher up the value chain or the security chain, then there are a lot of options available. And because holograms would not be used on banknotes for 30 odd years if they didn't work.
Correct.
So hologram can be hot stamped, they can be laminated, they can be used as a label, they can be applied on labels, which is further put on the product. So a whole lot of possibilities in terms of technology. We looked at, material.
And then you have the security thread that you have in the banknote as
There's a
well. It's
security
holographic thread.
Yeah.
That's a key element as well.
And coming back to pharma, these days a whole lot of pharmaceutical companies are looking at brand protection solutions because the ramifications are pretty huge, as we all understand that.
Yeah.
So a lot of work is currently happening in pharma sector, and they are really looking at ways to increase the counterfeit deterrence level in their products. Because just one point I'd like to make here, the moment a brand incorporates an authentication feature in their packaging, the psychology of the counterfeiter is to move away to another product because he doesn't want that chamela. I need to get a hologram and buy it from somewhere. The more sources he's inputting from, the higher is his visibility in the network.
The more deterrence you bring into the system.
The more deterrence you
It's
bring
like
into
my home, if I can lock the door, the more windows, the more I lock, the more difficult is the thief. You can just make it more difficult for the thief to go
Absolutely.
in. You're reducing the chances of counterfeiting, right? You're making, it's a strong deterrent like we said,
Strong
right?
deterrent. And then the counterfeiter moves on to a different product altogether.
Sure, on the easier one on the
the
street.
easier one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
True, very true. Excellent. Okay. Any other point that you would like to add about
I think
Phygital?
yes.
Yes.
So Phygital is being spoken about increasingly these days. Now, what is Phygital? Phygital is a blend of a physical security feature, such as a hologram or security inks, and a digital
Element.
verification of the same through a QR code typically. One point that I would like to highlight here is a QR code in itself is not an authentication feature. It's a traceability tool and a great one at that, no doubt about it. But a QR code by itself is not a security feature. You will have to blend it with other security technologies, and that is what is being developed as a Phygital solutions these days. So you have the physical feature to look at, verify with your eyes, and you have the smartphone which can verify the QR code. So a mix of the two, I see a lot happening,
A simple QR code, just a traceability element, just a data capture,
Just
right?
a data capture, just
correct.
a traceability.
Yeah,
element.
correct.
Unfortunately, the scan rate of QR codes is not very high still in our country. Most products are reporting scan rates of less than 1%, which is
not so great.
not so good. So again, we
yeah.
come back to the awareness piece. The more aware the consumer are, the more we can tell them that, look, scan this, find out more information about this. So consumer awareness, I'm sorry to be repeating myself, but is really, really a very important piece in fighting the counterfeit.
And all of us, converters, brand owners, we as personal consumers among our friends, I think we really need to focus on increasing awareness, right?
Absolutely.
I think we're going to run short of time. A quick wrap-up comment from you, Manoj, and a couple of questions if we can still take.
We'll just wrap it up, yeah.
Yeah, wrap it up. I'm
I think
wrapping comments. Please.
going forward, let's just look at where, in my opinion, we see going forward. I think I see brands getting more proactive because they also realize now that, unless they handle it more proactively, this problem is a little difficult to handle. The consumer vigilance is important. They need to be more vigilant. New technologies such as AI, machine learning, they can help us get more predictive in terms of what is happening.
I did see somebody, instead of putting a QR code, they are now getting smart AI pictures. So there are companies working on AI, going on websites, scrolling over e-commerce sites, picking out pictures and trying to decipher from the picture if the product is genuine or fake.
Yeah.
So that's the next step maybe, if we can build a library big enough and, technology good enough for that.
And
yeah.
finally, an appeal to my converting friends here. Look at authentication solutions. I think they can only help your business going forward.
So हरीश गुप्ता जी से पहले मैं बात कर रहा था, सॉरी फॉर द हिंदी, वो कह रहे थे कि प्रिंटर्स तो 1 1 2 का 4 करते हैं, बट ये सिक्योरिटी वाले 1 2 का 10 कर लेते हैं. so my suggestion
I wish
is
that was true.
So do please look at this.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
1
Manoj
to
ji.
10,
Pleasure
sir.
talking to you.
Good word.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
The best thing what I